Hey guys, welcome back to the Hide. We're back out on the shooting bench today for another optic review. This time we've got the Hawke Vantage SF. This is a 6-24 by 44 half mil dot reticle scope. This is going to be item number 14162. This has been a scope that has been kind of on my radar for quite a while. I mean, it's a price point optic. However, the local shop where I'm at keeps these in stock, so he's been harping on me about trying to get one out for review. Was finally able to secure one and have been testing it over the last couple of weeks, and I have to say it's got some abysmal results. Now, before I go any further, guys, this is always a sample size of one. I have one scope. That's what I have my data point off of. That's what I have to go off of. So be sure to take that with a grain of salt. However, this is my experience. Now, getting into the first, I guess, downside of this optic to me personally. The first thing I noticed whenever I got it out of the box was the way that the turrets are. Now, the turrets are fine. They sound fine. I mean, for the price of this optic, it would be what you would expect. You know, I mean, they are fairly audible. Not bad. They are a little mushy. Again, kind of what you would expect. It does have side focus. The side focus seemed to work okay. Giving the variable distance, set it on 100 yards, it did tend to focus in at 100-ish. So again, about what you would expect. However, one huge downside to this scope, in my opinion, is the way that you zero out these turrets. If you notice right here, there are some very, very small, and I mean, guys, small Phillips machine screws. Now, the funny thing about that is the one on the windage turret was actually stripped from the factory, so it was boogered up the minute I took it out of the box. But to zero these out, you have to take these little screws out, okay? Like this. And you don't have to take them all the way out. However, I want to kind of show you the basis of how this works. And I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan of it. But you can see there is a little disc that goes in the center and compresses this turret disc down and kind of clamps it together. And that's how it provides friction in order to turn the turret. Because as you can see here in the center, it's got the two machined portions for those little screws to go into. So this just actually sets on top of that flat surface. The only thing making contact are those, I mean, extremely tiny, tiny screws. I don't like that. I mean, this is probably designed as a set it and forget it scope, and I get that. However, I want to be able to zero my turrets without having, you know, to worry about any type of failures. This to me is not a very good idea. If you have one of these scopes, make sure you get a precision screwdriver to use these little screws, because you will strip them out. I have no doubt about that. And to get your turret zeroed, you would just loosen those, spin this outer dial around, and then tighten these two screws up. You know, it is what it is. That's the design they used. I will say there are cheaper optics that use a better design than that. So, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. This scope runs around $225 to $250 depending on where you get it. So, you know, it is what it is. Now, they're touting this is a 1/4 MOA. It's a 1-inch tube. They say 3.5-inch eye relief. I would beg to differ on that. The overall size of the optic and feel of the optic is actually pretty good. It's a good looking scope. It's not overly heavy, but it's not underly built either. I just don't think they provided enough, you know, detail to the extras, if that makes sense. Now, I'm going to try and get some shots from inside the scope so you can see downrange. Hopefully my camera will focus in. As I said, it may not. Now let's see if that does it. Maybe. Bear with me, guys. All right, so let's see if we can get it adjusted here. Not too bad there. That's 110 yards. Now, guys, I will say, you know, that's going off of my camera. The mirage on this scope is pretty significant, especially if you start looking past, you know, 100 yards or so, and if it's really sunny, it does start to mirage. You do have some whiting out of the reticle edge, so be mindful of that. The overall glass clarity, however, is really not that bad. I will say the eye box is very narrow. They tout 3.5 inches. I might give it 2. And it might be 3.5 on the 6 power, but anything over 10, it's going to be pretty short. So bear that in mind as well. Now, the big kicker with this is I had all intentions of shooting a box test for you guys. However, this will not hold 0. So this is the 4th outing that I've had with this scope. And this is just a 223 5.56 rifle. This is the Ruger American Ranch, so it's not a hard recoiling rifle. However, every time I have brought this out, there has been a 0 issue. I have set it with the same 75 grain load that I've been shooting out of this rifle, and it's come up with either a 1.5 or 2 MOA variants. That for me is just a deal breaker. I can't deal with that. So I'm going to send this back, get it fixed or get it replaced, and then probably move on. So this is just my data point, guys. Again, like I said, you know, take it with a grain of salt. It's a sample size of 1. Every company can make a bad product. Every company can let one slip through. I mean, it just happens, you know, humans are human. But, you know, just take that for what it's worth. But if you got any questions on this, feel free to post them up. I'm always glad to help you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And as always, shoot straight. Later.